The laugh comes from the other end of the table before I even sit down. It's loud, careless, the kind of laugh that doesn't check who it might bruise on the way out. So, my older brother says, tapping his fork against his glass, "Are you still doing that? What was it?" He squints at me like I'm a forgotten app on his phone. "That $500 a month thing?" The table erupts. Not shock. Not concern. Amusement. I lower myself into the chair slowly, smoothing my thrift store dress over my knees. The fabric is clean, pressed this morning with careful hands. The restaurant smells like butter and grilled meat, heavy and rich. Everywhere around me, plates arrive steaming, confident. I order water. Again. "Hey," my aunt adds, smiling too brightly. "We just worry. That's not really an income. It's more like pocket money." Pocket money. Across from me, my daughter Lily swings her legs under the table, humming softly to herself. She's 7. Her hair is in 2 neat braids I did an hour ago in my bathroom mirror, my fingers aching but precise. She's wearing the blue dress she calls her brave dress. She looks up at me, eyes curious, unafraid. I smile at her first. Always her first. "It's temporary," I say, my voice even. "I'm building something." My mother tilts her head. The gesture is small, practiced. "Sweetheart, you've been building for a while now." My cousin Ethan leans back in his chair, gold watch flashing under the warm lights. "I mean, I made more than that last weekend." He shrugs, like it's an accident. Menus rustle. Someone pours wine. Glasses clink. I nod, pretending to be interested in the condensation sliding down my water glass. My phone rests face down beside my plate. Silent. Private. The spreadsheet I worked on until 2 a.m. is still open in my mind, rows and projections lining up like soldiers. Numbers that don't look like much yet. Numbers no one here has ever asked to see. "Lily," my mother says suddenly, her voice syrupy, "what do you want to be when you grow up?" Lily beams. "Like Mama. I want to make things." There's another laugh. Softer this time. Pity mixed in. "That's sweet," someone murmurs. My chest tightens just a little. I reach under the table and squeeze Lily's knee. She squeezes back, absent-minded, still smiling. The waiter asks if we're ready to order desserts. My brother doesn't look at me when he says, "Don't worry, I've got this." No need to stress over the bill. I wasn't going to offer, but the assumption lands anyway. I excuse myself, standing carefully, chair legs scraping against the floor. The bathroom is quiet, fluorescent lights buzzing faintly. I lock myself into a stall and pull out my phone. My bank app opens instantly. Muscle memory. Balance, $482.17. I breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. I'm not ashamed of this number. I repeat that to myself like a mantra. This is the bridge, not the destination. This is the scaffolding, not the house. Still, my hands tremble slightly as I wash them. In the mirror, my face looks calm. Older than it used to. Sharper around the eyes. Focused. Back at the table, the cake arrives, layers of chocolate, candles already lit for my cousin's promotion celebration. Everyone claps. I clap too. Softly. No one notices when I sit back down. As the candles are blown out, I catch Lily watching me again. Not confused. Not embarrassed. Just observant. Trusting. I meet her gaze and smile. They think this is the whole story. They think $500 is the punchline. They have no idea what's quietly unfolding, line by line, signature by signature, just beyond this table. And I let them keep laughing. The night doesn't end at the restaurant. It follows me home. In the car, Lily chatters about the cake, about how many candles there were, about how Uncle Ethan laughed too loud. I respond when I'm supposed to, nod when the pauses ask for it. My hands stay steady on the steering wheel, even when my jaw aches from holding itself in place. At home, I tuck her into bed, smoothing the blanket up to her chin. She looks at me in the dim light, eyes suddenly serious. "Are we poor?" she asks. The question isn't dramatic. It's curious. "Clean." I sit on the edge of her bed. "No," I say gently. "We're careful." She thinks about that, then nods. Okay. A pause. I like careful. She's asleep minutes later. In the kitchen, the silence feels heavier. I open the fridge. Half a carton of eggs. Milk nearing its date. Leftover rice in a plastic container. I close it again without taking anything out. My phone lights up on the counter. Family group chat. Ethan. We tease because we care, face with tears of joy. Don't be mad. Another message appears before I can respond. Mom. You know they don't mean harm. You've always been sensitive. Sensitive. The word lands like a soft dismissal, wrapped in familiarity. I type. Delete. Type again. Delete again. Instead, I sit at the small table by the window and open my laptop. The screen glows, familiar and grounding. My project folder waits patiently. Forecasts. Contracts in progress. Emails marked unread that I've been pacing myself through, careful not to rush what needs precision. A notification pops up from my coworker, Naomi. Saw your calendar was blocked tonight. Just wanted to say, you're doing great. Don't let noise get to you. I close my eyes for a second. Just one. The ache behind them threatens to spill over, but it doesn't. I won't give it that. The next morning, the disappointment sharpens instead of fading. At work, during a virtual check-in, someone jokes about side hustles. Another person mentions how some things should stay hobbies. The words aren't aimed at me, but they circle close enough to graze. On my lunch break, I scroll absent-mindedly and see it. A photo from last night. The family table. Smiling faces. Captioned by my aunt. So proud of our high achievers. I'm cropped out. I stare at the image longer than I should. It's not anger that rises. It's a hollow recognition. This is how it's always been. Success is loud when it belongs to them. Silence is reserved for me. That evening, my mother calls. Sweetheart, she says, your brother mentioned you seemed off. I was fine. Well, she sighs, you know how it looks. Struggling like this. People worry. I'm not asking anyone for anything, I say. That's not the point, she replies quickly. We just don't want you to embarrass yourself. There it is. After the call, I sit very still. The room feels smaller, like the walls leaned in while I wasn't looking. I glance at the corner where Lily's backpack rests, glitter peeling at the seams. Tomorrow, she has a school trip. I haven't told her yet that I'm still figuring out the fee. My phone buzzes again. Mom, you're overreacting. We're family. I don't reply. Instead, I open my settings and scroll to the group chat. My thumb hesitates for half a second, then presses. Leave conversation. No announcement. No goodbye. Just absence. I set the phone face down and lean back in my chair. The quiet that follows isn't relief. Not yet. It's numb. Flat. Like the moment after a wave crashes, when you're underwater and everything sounds far away. I don't cry. I just breathe. And somewhere beneath the disappointment, something steadier begins to form, slow, deliberate, and no longer interested in being understood. It's easy to believe the mockery started recently, that it's about numbers, timing, bad luck. But when I look back, I see the pattern stretching far behind me, neat and consistent, like footprints I was trained not to question. I was 16 the first time my mother called me the responsible one. She said it like praise, like a crown being gently placed on my head. My brother was late coming home again. My aunt needed help with paperwork. Someone had forgotten to pay a bill. I stepped in without being asked, because that's what responsible people do. At 18, when I got my first part-time job, my family celebrated with jokes. Finally, someone reliable, my uncle said, clapping me on the back. That same week, my mother borrowed $300 from me. She promised to return it by the end of the month. She never did. I didn't ask. I learned early that asking made people uncomfortable. And when people are uncomfortable, they stop calling. By my early 20s, I was the quiet solution to loud problems. Babysitting on short notice. Covering utilities when someone was between jobs. Lending small amounts that added up to big gaps in my own plans. Whenever I hesitated, the reminder came swiftly. You don't really need much. You're good at managing. You're not like the others. The others were praised for ambition. I was praised for sacrifice. Christmases blurred together in memory. Me wrapping gifts carefully, calculating costs down to the cent. My brother tearing into expensive boxes, laughing. Someone always noticed his success. No one noticed my restraint. When money was tight, I skipped gifts for myself entirely. No one commented. When Lily was born, the pattern deepened. I went back to work sooner than I should have. Took on freelance contracts at night while she slept beside me, one tiny fist curled into the blanket. My income fluctuated then, unpredictable but intentional. I was laying groundwork, learning systems, building something slow and solid. My family saw only the surface. You should find something stable now, my mother said, holding Lily while I reheated leftovers. You can't experiment forever. When I explained my plan, she smiled indulgently. As long as you're happy. But happiness, I learned, was only acceptable if it came with a recognizable paycheck. The financial shaming crept in quietly. Jokes at first. Comparisons framed as concern. Questions asked loudly in front of others. Always with plausible deniability. We're just worried. We just want you secure. Security, to them, meant obedience. The worst part wasn't the money. It was how easily my effort became invisible. How my exhaustion was expected. How my boundaries were treated like inconveniences. The night before last year's holidays, my cousin needed help covering a flight change. Just for a few days, she said. I sent the money. 2 weeks later, she posted photos from a weekend getaway. No mention of repayment. No acknowledgement at dinner. I sat there, smiling, feeling foolish for expecting anything else. The digital betrayal came later. Quiet, but sharp. I found it by accident, scrolling late at night while Lily slept. A family group chat I'd been muted from months ago. Screenshots shared by a well-meaning relative who didn't realize what they were sending. Jokes about my tiny income. Speculation about how long I'd last. A message from my brother. She likes playing entrepreneur. Let her have it. I stared at the screen, heat rising slowly behind my eyes. Not shock. Recognition. This wasn't concern. It was comfort. They were comfortable with me beneath them. I closed the chat and opened my laptop instead. The familiar spreadsheet loaded, rows filled with projections I'd refined obsessively. Conservative estimates. Long timelines. Real numbers. At the top of the file was the working title of my project. A name I'd chosen carefully. Something solid. Something that didn't need applause. I realized then that my family didn't misunderstand me. They understood perfectly. They just didn't respect me. And for the first time, that clarity didn't hurt. It steadied me. I shut the laptop gently, like I was putting something valuable away for safekeeping, and sat in the quiet room, listening to Lily's slow breathing through the wall. Whatever came next, I knew one thing with certainty. I would never again fund my own dismissal. The message comes on a Tuesday afternoon, right in the middle of Lily's spelling homework. She's sounding out words slowly, tongue caught between her teeth, while I circle mistakes lightly in pencil. The room smells like sharpened wood and laundry detergent. Ordinary. Safe. My phone vibrates on the table. I don't check it right away. I've learned the value of delay. When I finally glance down, my stomach tightens. Mom, we need to talk. Call me. I wait until Lily runs off to get a snack before stepping into the hallway and calling back. Her voice is brisk. Purposeful. No warm-up. Your brother's in a bind, she says. The bank froze part of his account. It's temporary, but he needs help covering a few things. I lean against the wall, phone pressed to my ear. What kind of help? There's a pause. Then, carefully, money. How much? Not much, she says quickly. Just $1,800. You can manage that, right? I almost laugh. Mom, I say, keeping my voice low, you know how much I make. Yes, but she sighs. This is family. You always find a way. Always. My chest tightens like a belt being pulled one notch too far. I picture Lily's school trip form sitting and signed on the counter. The rent reminder email I flagged this morning. The final negotiation documents waiting for my review tonight. Documents that require clarity, not panic. I can't, I say. The word feels strange in my mouth. Heavy. Solid. There's silence on the other end. Then her tone shifts. So you won't, she says. Not a question. An accusation. I can't, I repeat. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Her breath sharpens. After everything we've done for you? Images flash through my mind. Babysitting. Loans never returned. Smiles swallowed. Nights stretch thin. I have responsibilities, I say. My child. My work. And what about your brother? She snaps. He supported you emotionally all these years. I close my eyes. My hands are shaking now. I press them flat against the wall, grounding myself. He mocked me. I say quietly, publicly. That was a joke, she says dismissively. You're too sensitive. There it is again. I feel something settle in my chest, firm and unmistakable. This is exactly what I mean, I say. You don't hear me, she scoffs. You're choosing pride over family. No, I say. I'm choosing reality. Her voice drops cold now. If you don't help, don't expect support when things fall apart for you. The threat lands cleanly. No confusion left. I picture Lily at the table earlier, tongue between her teeth, trying so hard to get each word right. I think of the late nights, the spreadsheets, the quiet momentum building despite everything. Things aren't falling apart. They're finally aligning. I have to go, I say. You're making a mistake, she replies sharply. I end the call. For a moment, I just stand there, phone still in my hand, heart pounding. My body feels like it's catching up to a decision my mind already made. I walk back into the kitchen. Lily looks up at me, chip crumbs on her fingers. Everything okay? She asks. Yes, I say, surprising myself with how true it sounds. Everything's okay. That night, after Lily is asleep, I open my laptop. The document waits patiently. The deal is close now. One wrong move could jeopardize months of work. My phone lights up with missed calls. Messages stack up. Guilt dressed as urgency. I mute them all. As I scroll to the signature line, my hands stop shaking. For the first time, the realization is clear and complete. They will never change. But I already have. The rebellion doesn't look like shouting. It looks like silence. The next morning, I wake before my alarm. The house is still, wrapped in that thin gray light just before sunrise. I make coffee and sit at the kitchen table, laptop closed, phone untouched. My body feels alert, humming quietly, like it knows something important is about to happen. There are 12 missed calls. 27 messages. I don't open any of them. Instead, I open my banking app and check my balance again. $491.03. Rent is due in 9 days. Lily's school trip fee sits folded inside my planner. The numbers don't scare me the way they used to. They feel honest. Grounded. I open my email. At the top of my inbox is the thread I've been pacing myself around for weeks. Subject line neutral. Professional. Unemotional. The final version of the agreement is attached, clean and precise, every clause reviewed 3 times. My name appears at the bottom, waiting. I read it once more. Slowly. Not because I doubt it, but because I respect it. Then I scroll to the signature field and type my name. No fireworks. No rush of adrenaline. Just a steady click as I save the file. I don't send it yet. I close the laptop and wake Lily for school. She's groggy, hair sticking up at the crown, but she smiles when she sees me. Pancakes, she asks hopefully. Pancakes, I say. We eat together at the counter, laughing when one comes out misshapen. Syrup drips onto the plate. It's ordinary. It's everything. After she leaves, backpack bouncing against her shoulders, I clean the kitchen slowly. Sunlight spills across the floor, warmer now. I notice things I usually rush past, the quiet tick of the clock, the hum of the fridge, the fact that the air feels lighter. My phone buzzes again. A new message. Mom, we're disappointed. This isn't how family acts. I stare at the screen. My fingers hover, ready to type explanations I've rehearsed my whole life. I don't. I lock the phone and place it face down in a drawer. The click of it closing feels definitive. That's the boundary. Not a speech. Not a confrontation. Just refusal to participate. I return to the table, open my laptop again, and attach the signed document to a reply email. My cursor pauses over the send button. I think of all the times I softened myself. All the times I explained, justified, waited for permission. I think of Lily's question from the other night. Are we poor?
No.
We are not available for disrespect. I press send. The email disappears into the outbox, quiet and irreversible. For a moment, my heart pounds, as if expecting something to explode. It doesn't. The room remains intact. The world keeps turning. I lean back in my chair and laugh softly once surprised. The sound feels unfamiliar.
Free.
That evening, I make a simple dinner. Pasta with garlic and oil. Nothing fancy. Lily tells me about her day, about a spelling test she thinks she aced, about a girl in her class who shares crayons. I listen fully, not distracted by my phone buzzing in my pocket. After she goes to bed, I open a fresh spreadsheet. This one is just for us. Expenses. Savings goals. A college fund line that makes my throat tighten. I enter numbers carefully, noticing something new. There's margin. Not abundance. Not yet.
But space.
I stand at the window for a long moment, watching the city lights flicker on, one by one. Somewhere across town, my family is probably still talking. Still strategizing. Still assuming I'll fold. I don't feel the need to correct them. I turn off the light and head to bed, my steps lighter than they've been in years. As I lie down, the last thing I notice is the quiet, not empty, not lonely, controlled. For the first time, my life feels like it's responding to me, not the other way around. The backlash doesn't wait long. It starts with my phone vibrating nonstop on the kitchen counter while I'm packing Lily's lunch. Peanut butter, apple slices, a folded note with a smiley face. Ordinary things, interrupted by urgency that doesn't belong to this house anymore. I don't answer. By mid-morning, the knocking starts. It's loud,
Sharp.
repetitive. I open the door to find my brother standing there, jaw tight, keys dangling from his hand like a threat. My mother is behind him, arms crossed, lips pressed thin. We need to talk, he says, already stepping forward. No, I reply calmly, not moving aside. You don't. His eyebrows shoot up. Excuse me? This isn't a good time, I say. My voice surprises even me. It doesn't shake. My mother exhales dramatically. So this is what you've become. I feel Lily shift behind me. Her hand slips into mine.
Small. Warm.
Grounding. You can't just cut us off, my brother snaps. Do you know what position you've put me in? I didn't put you in any position, I say. Your finances aren't my responsibility. He laughs, sharp and humorless. Listen to yourself. Acting superior with your little project. I open the door wider, just enough for the hallway light to spill in. A neighbor's door cracks open across the hall. Curious eyes. This conversation is over, I say. My mother's voice rises. After everything we've done for you, raising you, supporting you, this is how you repay us? Lily's fingers tighten around mine. Am I not important enough? She asks quietly. The words slice cleanly through the noise. Everyone freezes. I crouch beside her immediately. You are the most important, I say, steady and clear. Always. My brother scoffs. You're manipulating her now? That's when the fear I've been holding at bay finally knocks, hard. My heart races. My palms sweat. But beneath it, something stronger holds firm. I straighten and look at them both. You're not welcome here, I say. If you don't leave, I'll call someone who will make you. My mother stares at me, disbelief giving way to fury. You wouldn't. I take my phone out and unlock it.
Calm.
Deliberate. She sees the screen and goes still. Behind them, footsteps approach. Mrs. Caldwell from next door peers over, concern etched across her face. Is everything okay? She asks. Yes, I answer before anyone else can speak. It will be. My brother mutters something under his breath, but he steps back. The power shift is subtle, but unmistakable. Don't come crying to us when this all falls apart, my mother says, voice shaking now, not with anger, but with loss of control. I won't, I reply. They leave without another word. The door clicks shut. My knees feel weak once they're gone. Lily presses her face into my side. I hold her there until her breathing evens out. Later that afternoon, I receive an email from my attorney confirming receipt of the signed documents. Everything is moving forward as planned.
Clean.
Verified.
Real.
Another message comes in, this one from Naomi. Heard some raised voices earlier. Just checking in. You okay? I type back, yes. Thank you. And, for the first time, I mean it without hesitation. That evening, as I tuck Lily into bed, she looks at me with wide eyes. You were brave today, she says. I swallow hard. So were you. After she falls asleep, I sit alone in the living room, lights low, the city quiet outside. The fear drains slowly, leaving behind something steadier. Pride, maybe. Or relief. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I didn't explain myself into exhaustion. I stood still. And the storm passed around me. The days after the confrontation arrive quietly, like cautious guests unsure if they're welcome. No shouting. No dramatic apologies. Just space. The first morning feels unfamiliar. My phone stays still on the counter while I make Lily's breakfast. No buzzing. No guilt disguised as urgency. The silence isn't empty, it's breathable. At the bus stop, Mrs. Caldwell stands beside me, holding a paper bag. She hesitates, then offers it with a small smile. I made banana bread last night, she says. Too much for just me. Thank you, I reply, surprised by how much the gesture warms me. Later that afternoon, Naomi stops by my desk with 2 coffees instead of 1. You look like you could use backup, she says casually, as if kindness is a normal office supply. I accept the cup, fingers wrapping around the warmth. I appreciate it. She nods. No questions. No advice. Just presence. At home, Lily spreads her homework across the table, humming again. I notice how relaxed her shoulders look. How easily she laughs when she gets an answer wrong. The house feels larger somehow, as if removing tension expanded the walls. I open my budgeting spreadsheet that evening, not out of panic but curiosity. I track expenses carefully, line by line.
Rent.
Utilities. Groceries. I add a new column labeled buffer. The number is small but real. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm running behind my own life. A handwritten note appears under the door 2 days later. Mrs. Caldwell again. If you ever need Lily picked up from school, I'm usually home. Happy to help. I sit on the floor and read it twice. No obligation. No ledger. Just an offer. The contrast is sharp. Support, I realize, doesn't keep score. At work, my manager schedules a brief check-in. I reviewed the projections you sent, he says. Strong work. Thoughtful assumptions. The praise is measured. Professional. Earned. It lands deeper than any loud celebration ever has. That night, Lily and I eat banana bread for dessert, laughing over crumbs. She tells me about a classmate who shared her markers.
She didn't have to, Lily says.
But she did anyway. I smile. That's generosity, I tell her. It's different from obligation. She nods like she understands, even if she doesn't fully yet. As the week passes, I notice small shifts in my body. My shoulders sit lower. My breath comes easier. I sleep through the night without jolting awake to imaginary emergencies. I find myself humming while folding laundry. One afternoon, my phone buzzes. An unfamiliar calm settles in my chest before I even look. It's a message from my mother.
Short.
Careful. Hope you're well. I don't respond. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. I place the phone back on the table and continue cooking dinner. The sauce simmers gently. Lily sets the table without being asked, proud of the responsibility. Later, after she's asleep, I step onto the balcony and look out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, people are arguing, negotiating, demanding. In here, everything feels aligned. I think about all the energy I used to spend managing other people's feelings, anticipating needs, smoothing conflicts that weren't mine. That energy has returned to me now. I use it to plan, to save,
To breathe.
when I step back inside, the house greets me with quiet certainty. Not loneliness, not isolation, belonging. For once, the support around me doesn't ask for proof. It simply shows up. And for the first time, the house feels bigger. The rebuild doesn't arrive with a grand announcement. It settles in quietly, like a rhythm I didn't realize I'd been missing. Mornings change first. I wake up without dread tightening my chest. Coffee tastes richer. The light through the kitchen window feels intentional, like it's meant to be there. Lily eats breakfast slowly now, telling me about dreams she remembers instead of nightmares she doesn't. We develop small routines. Friday pancakes become a rule. Sunday afternoons turn into budgeting and music time, where Lily colors beside me while I review numbers. She doesn't understand the spreadsheets, but she understands the calm. At work, momentum builds. Meetings become shorter, more focused. My ideas are met with consideration instead of polite dismissal. I notice how often people listen when I stop over-explaining. One afternoon, my phone lights up with a familiar name. My mother. I let it ring. The voicemail is careful, apologetic in tone, vague in substance. "Just checking in," she says. "We miss you." I don't call back. Instead, I take Lily to the park. She runs ahead, fearless, climbing higher than she ever used to. I watch her from the bench, realizing how much of her courage mirrors my own. Progress becomes visible in small ways. A savings account that grows, slowly but steadily. A paid school trip form. A new coat for Lily before winter arrives. Nothing flashy. Everything meaningful. The deal moves forward behind the scenes. Lawyers talk to lawyers. Emails arrive with attachments that matter. I read them carefully, never rushing. When the final confirmation comes through, it's a single sentence. All parties have executed. That's it. No confetti. No applause. I close my laptop and sit back, hands resting in my lap, letting the weight of it register. $5.9 million. The number feels abstract at first, like a concept rather than a reality. I don't call anyone. I make dinner. Life doesn't change overnight. It deepens. I set up accounts. Speak with advisors. Plan for Lily's future with intention instead of fear. I choose modest upgrades, a safer neighborhood, a slightly bigger place with better light. I don't post about it. I don't explain. Attempts at contact increase. Messages that sound friendlier now. Curious. How's work? Still doing that project? I respond kindly, briefly, firmly. Boundaries hold without effort now. A new connection enters my life quietly. Daniel, a colleague from a partner firm. He asks thoughtful questions. Respects pauses. Doesn't flinch when I say no to coffee the first time. When we do meet weeks later, it's easy. No performance. No proving. At home, I repaint the living room a soft, warm color Lily chooses herself. We plant flowers on the balcony, hands dirty, laughing when soil spills. I frame a simple photo of us at the park and hang it where the light hits it just right. One evening, as I watch Lily finish her homework, I realize something profound. I'm no longer bracing for impact. The fear that once hovered at the edges of every decision has faded. In its place is steadiness.
Choice.
Freedom that doesn't need witnesses. I close my laptop and turn off the light, moving through the apartment with ease. The life I'm building doesn't require validation. It's already working. A year passes without announcing itself. There's no countdown, no dramatic marker, just a quiet accumulation of days that finally add up to something solid. On Lily's 8th birthday, I wake early and decorate the kitchen with paper streamers she picked out herself. The cake is simple, baked at home, slightly uneven. When she comes in rubbing her eyes, she freezes, then grins so wide it hurts my chest. This is ours, she asks. Yes, I say. All of it. Later, as she opens gifts from friends and neighbors, my phone buzzes softly on the counter. A message from my mother. Happy birthday to Lily.
Hope she's well.
I read it once. I let it sit. Then I reply with a photo of Lily blowing out her candles. No caption. No invitation. Just acknowledgement on my terms. That's the shape our relationship has taken now.
Distant.
Polite. Controlled. And peaceful. After the guests leave, Lily curls up beside me on the couch, sugar-dizzy and content. I like our house, she says sleepily. It feels calm. I kiss the top of her head. That's on purpose. That night, after she's asleep, I open my journal. It's something I started months ago, when everything finally slowed down enough to listen. I write about the year, not the money but the choices. About learning that love doesn't demand proof. About how silence can be a boundary. About how $500 didn't define my worth, and never did. The deal finalized long ago, its impact folded neatly into our lives. College funds established. Savings steady. Work meaningful, no longer frantic. The number exists, but it doesn't lead. I do. Occasionally, family members reach out. Invitations arrive softer now, cautious. I attend some. Decline others. No guilt follows either choice. At a small gathering later that month, my brother asks, "So, work's been good?" "It has," I say simply. He nods, uncertain, and changes the subject. No one laughs anymore. When I leave, I feel no urge to explain. No itch to be seen. The need has passed. Driving home, city lights stretching ahead. I think back to that restaurant table. The laughter. The assumption. The version of myself who sat quietly, believing dignity required endurance. She did her best with what she knew. I know more now. At home, I lock the door behind me and lean into the stillness. The walls hold warmth. Safety. Intention. I check on Lily once more, watching her sleep, secure and unburdened. This is what success looks like to me. Not noise. Not validation. Not revenge. Just space to breathe. Space to choose.
Space to belong.
I turn off the light and stand in the quiet, letting it settle fully around me. Home.